Hey, you who's watching? Do we have your attention? On today's episode of Identifying God's Best, we're going to talk about how to get a guy or girl's attention. As always, Identifying God's Best is our channel where we talk about biblical dating. How do we honor God in the way that we find a spouse? How do we identify who would be the best person that God has planned for us? As always, we have our friends Bruce and Hannah here. Hey guys.
Hello.
We've all been there, right? We all know what it's like to be interested in somebody and want to get their attention. When it comes to that, do you guys have experience of that you would like to share? Either a time when you were trying to get somebody's attention or somebody you know, without throwing anybody really hard under the bus.
I can start with a more lighthearted one. Because I'm excited to hear Hannah's in just a second. She has some really fun. I actually think back to my kids. So I have two daughters. One's turning 3 soon, and the youngest just recently turned 1. Our youngest is hilarious when it comes to trying to get the attention of my wife and I. So whenever she wants any of our attention, and we're not giving her like the time and the attention, she would literally drop whatever she's doing and just like curl into like a ball on the floor and just start crying hysterically, like, yeah, give me attention, like I need it now. And then if it's really bad, if we don't like respond to her in a matter of seconds, she would start banging her head against anything. So if it's the floor, she would do it. Sometimes like she's sitting on her high chair, like about to eat food, like I really want food, like trying to get mom and dad to send, give me food. And she doesn't get it, she would bang her head against the chair. So obviously we're teaching her not to do that, and we're teaching her patience. But we are correcting her and training her in that way. But it's just, at times, it's just really funny to look at the different things that she does just to get our attention. So yes, our youngest, it's quite funny.
How about you, Hannah?
Yeah, fortunately, I don't have any great stories of me lacking attention. I feel like I run from it more than anything. But I do have a story where one of my friends gave another friend, so boy gave girl, a packet, and just, to let her know that he liked her. But he gave her several pictures where he hand drew pictures of her, and then poetry and a letter. It was very ornate and just a little bit too much, and yeah, it kind of sizzled or whatever. Like she was kind of like, no thank you. And like a year later, we were really good friends. He kind of came back to me and I got a message from him, and he's like, that thing that I did last year, that was creepy. And I was like, yeah, kind of. So at least at one point it kind of settled in that maybe I shouldn't do that next time.
I have a quick question. Was he a good artist?
He was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a decent. I mean, I feel like the idea though of like a guy working on a picture of you and several would take hours, and so for hours he's looking at reference pictures and stuff like that, which would be too much. It would be too much. Yes.
I think it would be like a lot worse if he's like a terrible artist, like me. Like stick figures of the girl.
I think no matter what, you're just creepy.
Honestly though, man, giving girls packets of things, that's kind of like what I was thinking of for me. Not a packet. When I was in kindergarten, there was a girl that I liked, and I might have talked about this on another episode. I don't know if it's aired or not. But when I was in kindergarten, there was a girl I really liked. And to let her know that I liked her, I didn't know how to express myself. But my parents had a bunch of songbooks of like piano sheet music, including of Disney music. So I took that songbook and I found Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King. And I painstakingly photocopied that on my parents' photocopier until I had a nice packet of sheet music for Can You Feel the Love Tonight. I stapled it together and I gave it to her.
Aww.
I don't know what she thought about that.
I think that's
but it was
sweet though. That's actually a good idea. Maybe a different song, but
I guess that really takes us to today's topic, because we're not going to you don't want to give your interested person a giant packet of hand drawings. You don't want to throw tantrums on the floor. We're not photocopying Disney love songs. What do you do, guys? What do you know, if you're talking to a guy, if you're talking to a girl, what advice would you give somebody if they wanted to get somebody's attention because they're interested in them, but they're not sure what the other person thinks?
I think my advice to men who are struggling with this question is please, please, please do not do any of the following that we have just shared. I think the reason why we laugh at all those situations because they're really childish. And oftentimes I think that unfortunately with a lot of men who are inexperienced with in this area, you know, when it comes to getting a girl's attention, we can also become very childish in our approach to these things. We think of like doing something really dramatic or something super eye-catching, but it actually can very likely potentially backfires and it's not good. So don't do that. And so don't be childish. So the fact that you're thinking about this question, I almost want to be blunt and say you're already heading towards that potentially childish road. Like, oh, what I do to get them to notice me? Pause it right there. Let's treat this question as an adult. If you're interested in someone, this very simple thing is just go talk to her. Just go talk to her. Now, don't make it creepy. You don't have to prepare like 10 questions to ask. She's like, hey, what's up? My name is Bruce. Nice to meet you. What's your name? How's it going? Or if you guys already like kind of know each other, like, hey, how's your week? Just start a conversation, build a relationship. I think oftentimes I hear a ton of girls on the opposite end, like, dude, this guy just confessed his love for me. He's super creepy. Like, it's just like, you know, super creepy way. Like, I've been watching you. Like, that is not the way to start a conversation. You don't start a conversation with a girl for letting her know, I've been watching you. But even if you have been very observant of...
It's distressing how many times I've heard that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's so true though. Even if you have been very observant and seen like her character and her growth and her service within, like all that's good stuff, but do not start off like super exaggerate, like I've been watching you. You know, just talk to her, have a conversation. If you guys don't know about that each other that well, you know, just find ways to talk to her and talk to her a little bit. There's nothing wrong. You don't need to feel like, you know, somehow you're doing something that is impure. No, you're just talking to another sister and getting to know her a little bit better. And another thing is, if you're just active within the church, girls are going to notice. Because I also know, thankfully, that on the other side, you know, now that I'm married and I get to talk to single ladies about how they think about dating and guys in general, girls talk about guys pretty frequently. I don't mean that in like a bad way, but they just naturally talk about other brothers within the church and also in a healthy way. And they're also thinking about dating as well. And chances are, if you're really active within the church, they'll talk about you. And most likely, if you really are exemplifying Christ-like qualities, they'll talk about what a neat guy you are. And so you don't have to don't be afraid. You know, don't think like, oh, what must I do to, you know, gather that girl's attention? At that point, you're like, be careful, you know, getting into that creepy, you know, vibe, but just be a man. Don't make it awkward. Just go talk to her, introduce yourself, have fun.
Yeah, I would also just start out with introduce yourselves, kind of coming from the girls part of the, you know, the equation. It's not aggressive to just say, hey, my name's Hannah. How are you doing? Or how was your week? That's not aggressive. If you do that every 5 minutes, yeah, that's a little aggressive. And you might want to just take it down a little bit, several steps back. But, you know, this isn't rocket science. If you're good friends, you know, you can even kind of talk, like, you know, just ask him general questions about like what he's looking for and things like that in a group setting, so that it's not like, you know, you've got him like, you know, in the interview, like across the table, like, so spill your secrets, like, you know, like, and also, you know, just kind of keep an open mind of like, don't become what he's looking for, you know, and make that your life goal. Your goal should be character and godly character for the point of pleasing the Lord. But, you know, God's sovereign, and I feel like, you know, women especially, like we feel like we need the attention, or, you know, we need the guy to be staring at us to know that we've got him, or, you know, whatever. That's really childish. And, you know, same as the guys, you know, just really dedicate yourself to service, because guys are going to notice. And, you know, kind of being maybe not on the married side of things, but maybe just a little bit older and seeing what the younger guys are looking for. And women, they look at the ones that are serving and the ones that are serving joyfully. And it's just super encouraging to know that, like, you know, character, it really does matter, and it really does make a difference. And one story that it really makes me think of when we're talking about this topic is Esther. Like, this girl was an orphan. She was foreign, you know, compared to where she was at. She probably wasn't raised like being beautified, though she was put through like a beautification process. But whatever it was about her, her godliness, her character, that's what attracted this pagan king who was super evil. This guy was brutal, evil. His culture like just did terrible things to people when they like took over. Like, this guy was gnarly, and yet somehow he, you know, really was taken by this young Jewish girl who, you know, was an orphan and, you know, was getting taken care of by her uncle before she was taken into the castle. And so, you know, if you really just think of it that way, like, dude, what a long shot, but God had a purpose, and God has a purpose for your life too, and a plan. And you don't have to just keep striving for the attention of men, even though like it does bring like that temporary satisfaction, and girls crave it, especially like, you know, if you guys have father issues or just issues with past relationships, it can be addicting to have men's attention and to try to get it like, as you know, at all costs, and that's your life goal. But really, if you have that quietness and gentle spirit that we find in Peter, and then if we just, you know, really just have that trust and security in the Lord, we don't need that, and we can find contentment in the Lord ultimately. And you need that in life. It's not gonna go away when you get a boyfriend. You need to learn contentment now, because you're not gonna be content in your relationship if you don't learn contentment in singleness. And marriage certainly brings another round of testing. And if you have that contentment down and you have that peace and security in the Lord, that's going to make a world of difference. And not many girls have that, so you are going to be noticed.
Well, thanks so much, guys. Just a reminder that we don't need to be childish or to play childish games, that we can strive for contentment in the Lord, that we can really dedicate ourselves to pursuing God and His purposes in the church, and everything else will follow as God sees fit. So thank you for these reminders, and there's definitely more to be said on this subject. So one thing that we're going to be doing in the future, to you guys who are watching out there, we're going to be having a series of videos as well, the Guy Girl Talk videos, where both Bruce and Hannah are going to continue to share more thoughts on what's the best way for a guy or girl to get the other's attention. So keep posted, be ready for those, like, subscribe, so that you will be notified when we release these videos. And we're going to be excited to share these things with you. So until next time, this has been Identifying God's Best. We'll see you.